So Bach Chorale 22.5. It's written out usually like this without fermatas and things because it has instrumental interludes between the sections. But if you were to put fermatas here and just play it through, it works just like a normal chorale. Even the connectivity between the things works as what you'd find typical from Bach. This is a really neat chorale because of how it deals with its first modulation. So I put the chords in ahead of time. So we're in the key of B flat to start with, and we'll be in the key of B flat at the end, which is fine. I don't have a lot of room here, so I think I'm just going to write it here along with this. And so if I'm in the key of B flat, make sure this is on the camera. Yep, that's my 1, that's my 6, and in between here we have a 5 and a 1, right? Normally 6 wouldn't go, so 5, 6 right there, wouldn't go to 5, or wouldn't go to 1 or 5 for that matter. It's rare that it happens going to there, but it's important because this chorale is going to play between B flat major and the relative minor, and so he introduces that right away, and you hear that at the beginning right away. So it's like this, and so it's like 1, 6, but then he throws in this passing 5, and then it goes back to the 1, right? So in there he's already introduced pretty much what you need to know. The next chord that comes after that, and I guess you could also with this anticipation right there, then it forms another G minor chord right there, so he's even sort of toying with that as well. But the next chord here is a C7, C, E, G, B flat, and to our ears when you hear this, that's going to sound like a 5/7 of 5, partly because that's the more common way we would use it, and also because we've heard the 5 chord right there. So he does this really cool thing where you think you're going to get a 5 of 5 going to a 5. In other words, C7 going tonicizing the F chord, but it doesn't do that. So what you hear here is from the beginning, right? Throw our 5 chord in there. And that's just a garden variety anticipation, but it does give us the G minor, and then you hear this, and you think it's going to go bum, bum, which is what would be normal, right? But what he does instead is he goes D7, G minor. And the reason is we've actually changed key, right? So if you look at our cadence right here, this is a D chord, that's my 5. This is a G. It's got no third in it, and there's a reason why he's doing that sonically, but we've heard the G minor here and here already, and there's nothing to change our mind on that. So it feels like a G minor chord, but it's sort of hollowed out from a cadence point of view. And then the C right here, it's got the sus instead of the third, is our 4 chord with the sus 4 right there. And so we're setting ourselves up for a G minor perfect authentic cadence right there. What's happened here is that you can call this my 3 chord if you want, or you can say that this is hopped in and become a 1/6 right there. But our pivot's right here. And this E natural, making this to be a C7, is not because we're tonicizing F, which is the most common thing. The reason is it's just the natural byproduct of having a melodic minor go up like that. So if you wanted some sort of weird like esoteric question, you could say, when is a 5 of 5 not a 5 of 5? And it's like when it's a byproduct of the relative minor's or melodic minor scale changing the quality. And so this is just a dominant 4/6/5 as a result of the melodic minor scale right there. And then we have a D7 right there. It's in first inversion, but there's my D, F sharp, A, and C, and that would be my 5/6/5 going to my 1 right there. And so it's great because the first part, let's play this first phrase again. I'm pretty enamored of this. There's my G minor. Sounds normal, but this is sort of telegraphing what's going to happen. 5/1. And then here you expect 5 of 5 going to 5 like this, but it doesn't. It goes all of a sudden So yeah, I love it. It's great. Then we just look here. It's going to take us back to the key of B flat after this. He changes the G, presumed to be minor, to a G major chord, and that becomes the 5 of 2 in the key of, right? B flat major. And so in a way, you kind of go like, I'm in G minor, question mark, and this becomes the 5 of 4, question mark, and that becomes your pivot chord to become 5 of 2. So 5 of 4 in the key of G minor, 5 of 2 in the key of B flat. Then this becomes my 2 chord right there. It's my 7th passing note right there, going to a 5-6, going to a 1 right there, and then 2, 5, 1 again. And we have a nice PAC right there. Yeah? And we're going to have 1.5 more sort of extant different phrases, and then the ending is kind of cool on how it brings us back and ties everything back together. So we're just going to grind this out right now, okay? If we look here, this starts in B flat, and it's going to go E flat major 7 to an F chord right here, and this is going to be a half cadence in B flat, right? So we're back in B flat at this point. Stays in B flat here, and this is my B flat, so that's my 1 chord, and there's my 6 again, right? And another 6, which is in first inversion, but then writes itself right there. So it'll be 5-3 at that point. So he's still playing with us a bit, but instead then he just goes 2, 5, 6, and then you think this should go to a 1 chord, yes, because it's a 5 here. You've got a D and an F and an F, and so you think, is this a D minor chord right here? And does it persist because of the 7th right there, D minor 7? I'll play it. You can decide for yourself. I'll play just this. I almost wonder if it's just sort of another fake out in that he didn't put the root on there. So, right, it maybe feels like here's my 5 chord right there, right? And then we go up to here like that. Now that's with the B flat there, but what he writes instead is, right? So it would be nice if there was a B flat right there. Instead he leaps up like that. I think he's trying to be ambiguous again, right? It feels, even without the B flat in my ears, like they just leaped up to the 3rd and the B flat's not shown for a minute there. We can just call it what it is right now. We can call it a 3. But I really think it's an incomplete 1 chord. It feels that way, 1-6. And then we have a D minor chord right here, so that would be my 3, like this. And then E flat major 7 is a 4 major 7. And then there's my 5 chord right there, which is my half cadence. A little bit cool, kind of odd there. Again, I really feel like this is just him playing ambiguity with us, but it in my ears still feels like a 1 chord, right? There's no A here, right, to make us feel like it's a D minor chord for sure. So, you know, you might call it D minor because that's in the root. I think maybe it's incomplete 1. Listen to it and see how you think. All right. 5 chord again, goes to my 1 chord right there, goes to my 6 chord right there. And then I just want to show something. This is how I feel like these phrases are really cool. If you look here, and the melodies are different and all that, but from here, to there, right? And then from here to sort of the same thing right there. It's really similar, and your bass line is also identical. Now he's written a different set of voicings for this, but by copying the bass line and copying basically the chord progression, he's able to tie it back to the original phrase again, even though maybe it doesn't sound the same because the melody, although the melody is the same here, the inner voices are different. But he's definitely trying to say, like, I did this one on my adventure and I'm tying it back to this original idea right there, right? So here we have another C7, and I think what you have to do is say, well, I think I'm 6 equals 1 right there. And this is my 4 chord that's a dominant because of the melodic minor. There's my D chord, which is my 5-6, going to a 1, right? Lovely suspension right there. And then I've got my 4 sus going to my 5 and my 1. And this time the B flat is there, which makes it even more apparent that this was a B flat implied there, open chord, right? So we have another PAC in G minor. And then finally, this here, again, different, actually this one's virtually identical. This whole thing right here is almost identical to that right there. So it's like heralding back to the original. You can see that the bass line, except for this one note right there, is identical. And the melody is also the same, right? Lyrics are different, okay? But everything else is there. And it really gives us a nice feeling like this happened and then a different thing happened, but then this got tacked onto the end for form's sake. There's one other kind of interesting thing about this that if you look up Bach chorales, we have consecutive octaves or unisons right here. This G and G right there goes to a C and a C right there. And that would be a unison in a pair of voices going to a perfect octave, which is consecutive octaves, which we don't like to teach. I think it's fine. And let me explain why I think it's fine. If it just been this right here and he didn't jump down like that, then you would have had fifth to an octave and there's no problem there. And this just feels like a rearticulation of this note right here. The note's already given, so jumping down to that note doesn't, and it's in between the beats, doesn't feel like we've introduced a new note that's causing a problem. In other words, when I play this right there, see, where am I over on the keyboard right here? Yeah, with the G minor, with the, right? That's all that happens there. And then it goes to here, right? Right? I just don't feel like this is a new octave that's being reinforced. Like, for semantics sake, if we had written this as a quarter note and we turn this into 2 eighth notes like then, nobody would have a problem with it. And apart from the fact that you'll hear the line going that way, it's semantically the same thing, right? Also, I think this suspension right there and this suspension right there brilliantly cover anything that's going on there. When I see this as a feature, like if I play from here, you get your fake out C7 chord, right? But then goes to there, and then we get a nice suspension there, right? Which covers this next parallel octaves, right? And then, you know, it's, right? It's fantastic. So, all right, that's that one there. 22.5 BWV. We only have about another 500 or so to go. So